friends. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Oh my goodness, it is so beautiful out right now. I'm filming on Sunday. It is like 60 degrees outside. It's sunny out. My kids were just playing outside in the backyard. And let me tell you guys, it's starting to feel like spring out there. But you'll notice, even though the temperatures are a little warmer and according to the calendar it is spring, we still don't have leaves on the trees. It's still very chilly in the morning. So I have a book that is perfect for this time of year. It is called Really Spring. And this is written by Jean Zion with pictures by Margaret Bloy Graham. Now, I will say, this is an older book. This book was actually published in the year 1956. So, it's about 60 years old or so. This is maybe a book that maybe your grandparents grew up with. Now, the author, Jean Zion, is actually a very well-known author. His most famous book is called Harry the Dirty Dog. Do you guys know Harry the Dirty Dog? It's one of my favorites. It is a very well-known book in my family. And actually, it just so happened that I found this book at my parents' house because over this weekend, I went to visit my parents who, to be quite honest, they're a little old. And my father is a retired teacher. Yeah, he actually taught elementary school all when I was growing up. And when he retired, he brought some of his favorite books home from his classroom. And this was one of his favorite books to read every year. So it just so happened I was looking for books on spring. And he said, you know what? I have a great book for you. And he brought out this book. And I kind of remember it too from growing up. I bet you my dad read it to me a lot. And it is a perfect book for this time of year. Because in this book, even though it's technically spring and the weather's getting a little nicer, it doesn't look like spring yet. Just like right now, right? It's still, still has some last hints of winter left, right? No leaves on the trees, no flowers yet. So the kids in this book decide to do something to make spring happen. And it works, okay? So this is Really Spring. Like I said, this book is a classic. It was almost spring. The air smelled like it. The sun was warmer, and the calendar said that spring had come. But everything was still gray and bare. The growing, budding spring hadn't come to the city. There are no green signs of spring, someone sighed. How dreary, groaned another. People looked as sad as the city. Across the street, a little boy who had been frowning just as hard as everybody suddenly smiled and said, "Why wait for spring to change everything to grass and flowers? Let's change it ourselves right now." "Change it? How?" a lady asked. When the boy told how, everyone cheered. "Tell the mayor," shouted the lady. "We'll all help." The next morning, after an exciting speech by the mayor, they paraded down the street behind a big brass band. Boys, girls, friends, and neighbors carried paint cans and brushes, ladders, and scaffolds. What are they going to do with all that paint? They painted climbing vines on the fences and daffodils on the houses. They painted flowers on the awnings over store windows. They painted lampposts and fire hydrants bright colors. On the big buildings, they painted whole fields of spring daisies with brooks and rivers running between hills covered with dandelions. Beside a lake, a sign said, "No fishing." On the pillars in front of the bank, they painted bluebirds hunting for breakfast in make-believe grass. Willows grew on mailboxes, and a border of tulips bloomed on the bakery. Along the waterfront, the old piers soon looked like big moss-covered rocks. They painted frogs on them. The black gas tanks became giant mushrooms. On the excursion boat that would soon go up and down the river, they painted reeds and water lilies and bluefish jumping. They painted buttercups on the bridge, and the cars of the train running over it were each a different color. Smokestacks, chimneys, and factories, water tanks, and towers all change from sad gray to happy green and yellow. Finally, everything that could be painted had been painted. There was a bright, fresh, spring-like look everywhere. So the people of this city, rather than waiting for spring to happen, they decided to paint spring all over the city. What a nice idea. It sure looks a lot prettier. But after the city had gone to sleep, it began to rain. It rained and rained throughout the night. In the morning, from one end of the city to the other, the painted grass and flowers had all been washed away. Well, we know it does rain a lot in the spring. But the rain had started everything really growing. Real vines and sprouts were coming up green in the gardens, and crocuses had pushed up through the earth. Tiny ferns had appeared like magic during the night. All that rain made everything start to grow. Plants had started in the window boxes, and the trees lining the streets were covered with tender buds. On top of the old deserted barges in the river, grass grew, and dandelions, real ones now, were there. And if you look in this picture, we see people are outside at the park doing all kinds of fun outdoor activities that I know we can't wait to do. We see some kids are fishing. This boy's just reading a book next to his dog. This guy's just laying out in the sun. This boy's playing with a little boat. Oh, that's all kinds of stuff I can't wait to do now that the weather's getting warmer. In the zoo, the animals went to their outdoor cages and sniffed the new thin grass covering the park. Robins chirped and lions and tigers stretched in the spring sun. They knew it had come at last. The boys and girls who had waited so long oiled their skates and polished their bicycles. Everything was awake and stirring as they looked all around them at the city. It was really spring. All right, and we see now they don't need to paint the flowers and the trees because after all that rain, spring really came to their city. And we'll see, now we're in March still. I mean, we just started spring. We see the leaves haven't sprouted yet. Give it a couple of weeks, my friends. If we get some good rain and some nice sunshine, you're going to see those buds are going to pop out. There's going to be flowers, and spring's going to be all over the place. And I know we all need some nice spring weather so we can all play outside. Well, I hope we get some nice weather this week so you can play outside too. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And enjoy spring break. Oh my gosh, that's right. We have a whole week off next week. Well, I hope we get some good spring weather and that you get to go outside a whole lot. Enjoy your spring break, everybody. Bye.